Telling stories in a highly competitive and mostly male-driven film industry is no easy task. But today's guest is a determined woman ready to take on that challenge.
I'm Chloe Bellon. I'm a screenwriter and producer, and I'm passionate about developing characters in film.
Chloe, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Well, thanks for inviting me.
My pleasure. When I found out that you went to Cannes, to the Cannes Festival, I was just so intrigued about it. Who doesn't want to go to Cannes?
Obviously. And then we all know it's about like the dress and whatever you're wearing.
Right,
So.
it's all about the fashion. People forget it's about the movie. It becomes all about the fashion.
It's like a fashion runaway.
So how was it? How was the experience of going to the Cannes Festival?
Yeah, I actually went 2 years in a row. So the first experience was, it's like a jungle, getting to know exactly how it worked. Because my movie's been accepted at the film market like twice. It's a short film corner. So you're kind of like all over the place trying to sell your movie, get meetings done. But at the same time, you're at Cannes. So I'm not going to lie, I want to get on the red carpet. So obviously, you have to do lineups, get tickets, make sure you're on the red carpet. And then that's it. When you walk there, it's like, there's all the spotlights and all, you feel like a celebrity. For those 2 seconds that the ushers push you to the door, you feel like...
I would be posing everywhere. Like, even if none of the photographers were taking pictures of me, I'd be posing. Just because you're on the red carpet.
Oh yeah, I was trying to take selfies. Actually, I have a funny anecdote. I was wearing a dress by Katya Zakarian and had this 3-meter long train.
Okay.
And it was a super gorgeous red dress. But the thing is that the red is exactly the red carpet color.
Oh,
so
no.
I was walking and some random girl fell on me because she didn't see the train. So we both fell on the red carpet.
Are you serious?
And that was Xavier Dolan's premiere for Mommy. And everybody was there, so they all saw it. And it was super embarrassing.
Oh,
so.
no.
Anyway, that was my little red carpet accident.
Experience. That's hilarious. Did you meet any celebrities?
Yeah, well, briefly, when you go there, you kind of like see them, but there's so many people around them as well.
Okay.
So I had the chance to go as a media last year, as well as going also for my own movies, because at the time I had like a media pass.
Okay.
But it was super hard because, first of all, you're pushing everyone to get an interview.
Right.
And you're trying to meet these people, and they're super, super busy. So their schedule is like, 24/7. Exactly.
Okay. So you went there because, well, the first time it was also as a screenwriter. Was it the same movie that made it to both?
No, the first year I went to Cannes in 2013, that was for While the Village Sleeps.
Okay.
It's actually a feature film that I shot, but I had to reduce it to get it in the short film category at Cannes. So I reduced it to 30 minutes, and I went there, it got picked up. And then the second year, it was with Wheel of Fortune. It's actually a short film I'm doing. Right now, I'm planning on doing a series with this, but the first chapter got picked up at Cannes last year.
Okay.
And that's it. It's the short film corner.
Okay. I want to go a little bit into your films and how you develop them and your character development. But before, I'd like to know, when did this all start? Did you always know you wanted to be a screenwriter?
Not for screen, but a writer, yes. Like I started writing when I was 12. I wrote this novel. It was like maybe 100 pages at the time. I didn't have a computer, so I was writing by hand. So right now, if I would read it, I'm sure it wouldn't make any sense because I was 12. But it was still 100 pages. So yeah, it was like action adventure. And I noticed that even now, when I look back at it, it was like a 12 to 15 characters book. And with time, I started writing those things, those little short stories, and I knew I wanted to be a writer, but then I fell in love with the art of cinema.
Okay.
So for me, it was like I had to combine both of my passions, so then I started screenwriting.
Okay, wow. And when did you decide to, because you studied this in school, right?
I studied writing in school. It was mostly because I have mostly like a bachelor in arts, so it's like, arts and writing and creative writing, but it's not specifically for screenwriting.
Okay.
So I kind of had to learn everything all by myself. I took a few workshops, for people from LA. When you come here, they have a workshop sometimes and you can just register, but it wasn't like an intense class.
Okay.
And there's a lot that you can learn from internet as well, and it's a lot of practice. But the way to test it is to register your film in, well, your script actually in script festivals and contests. And when I started winning awards, this is when I knew that, screenwriting is really my thing and I'm good
Okay.
at it. So I'm just going to go in that direction.
Okay. And when did you decide to like really make that leap of faith to say, this is what I love, this is what I'm passionate about, I'm dropping everything else?
Yeah, that would be about this time of the year last year.
Okay.
I just spent a year just freelancing here and there for like the different jobs, but like this sometimes working on film sets, just for me to get a feel of how it is to work with professionals.
Right. With
And
of the industry.
yeah, exactly on the industry, like TV series, films, like sometimes I background work, and it's
Okay.
fun for me to look, like sit down and look what they're doing, as opposed to be on set and work as a production assistant.
Right.
So I've done this last year, and it's such a liberating experience because now you know that you're focusing on just what you love,
Right.
and you don't have all those distractions around you. So that's really
What's the expression? Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
exactly, yeah. But it doesn't feel like a job when it's your passion.
Right.
It doesn't feel like a job.
Okay. Well, speaking of the job part of it, I mean, we were talking about there's a lot more that goes into doing a film. It's not just the film is done and thank you, bye. There's the whole business aspect afterwards.
Yeah, that's when you become titled as a producer. Usually the screenwriters, if they're lucky, they get like an agent. If they're really talented and they know the right people, they get an agent right away. And the agent's job is to sell the script. But if you don't have an agent, like me right now, I'm in between, like I'm doing interviews and I'm getting an agent very soon. But before that part of my life, I was really I was actually producing the movie, writing it, and then actually going out there and trying to sell it. So that's the
Okay.
marketing part. So that's the part that everybody doesn't really know about because all they see is the glamour that's around it, and then you go to Cannes and here and that.
Right.
But
And they see
behind
the
that,
selfies.
exactly. But behind that, there's a lot of work. We have to go to meetings. You have to go and then push it. There's a lot of internet selling, like everything PR. That's a very important part of it. And also the media, you have to be all over the newspaper, the blogs,
Right.
so that it can create a buzz.
So you're doing PR, you're doing sales, you're doing marketing.
Yeah, that's a producer's job. Well, when you're starting, you have to wear all those hats. Like ideally, in a world, you have like a publicist and an agent and a producer,
Right.
but you're kind of doing everything when you start.
Right. Okay. And I mean, where do you see yourself like in 5 years? I'm assuming you want to have that whole team at some point.
Yes, that would be nice. Well, when I shot Wheel of Fortune in New York, it was actually the first time that I shot with people that have studio experience,
Okay.
as opposed to freelancers and people who've learned school like straight out of college. And that was my other movies. But Wheel of Fortune was my first like professionally shot movie. And honestly, the feeling is great. When
Okay.
you're sitting there and you feel like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not supposed to do anything.
Right.
Somebody's job is just to bring me coffee. Somebody's job is to bring my chair. I'm like, oh, okay.
So that's what it feels like.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't go back. But yeah, I would love to have that team, and I would love to just focus on screenwriting
Right.
as opposed to being a producer. Right now, I'm doing it because it's my own work. But eventually, when I get signed for an agent, like which is what's happening right now, their job is to sell my scripts
Okay.
and get me to work on sets or as a TV writer maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't have to be a producer.
Okay. And I'm assuming in 5 years you're hoping to have an Oscar or be nominated for an Oscar.
Oh,
Is that
that's-
always the objective for writers? I'm
Oh yeah,
assuming?
yeah.
Okay.
I always keep in mind my objective. I want to I want to get on that stage and win an Oscar, but for
Right.
screenwriting specifically. And it's not. I mean, it's not an unattainable goal. It's just something we see. It's like huge glamour thing, but
Right.
no. I mean, writers do get Oscars sometimes, and I want my work to be recognized.
Of course. So I watched Wheel of Fortune with my husband, and we had very conflicting views on it.
Oh wow.
But before we go into that, can you tell me a little bit more about this short film?
The
For
short
those who don't
film,
know.
yeah. Well, for those who don't know, actually, it's a short 17-minute film. It's about debating on whether or not a person that has killed and gone to prison deserves a second chance in life. So sometimes these people get a second chance to get paroled, and not everybody agrees with that justice system. So that's what I wanted to bring out in this movie. So basically, I based it on two different stories. One is from Susan Wright. She's in jail right now in Texas, and she murdered her husband with 193 stabs. And
She
also,
really did not want to miss that shot, huh?
that was yeah. And also there was Guy Turcotte, the surgeon, the
Okay.
Canadian surgeon who murdered his children, and that's a case that everybody knows in Montreal because it
Okay.
was really,
It's local.
exactly, it's local, and it was like nationally televised, like everybody was talking about it. So I feel like it was a story that was close to home. So I chose the two subjects because I'm comparing the two type of murders: someone who murders his children, like innocent people, as opposed to someone who murders her husband, but then she claims that she was abused. So is there a way to judge it? Is there should we judge it because she's a woman, and should we be giving her the same punishment as a man? So that was the whole issue around it.
Okay. And why two stories within the same film? Because it is a short film. Why did you want to, at two, why not focus on one?
Because I think that I like comparing those two stories. I like to have like a top provocative script, and when people watch it, they have like opinions, like you said. And I knew that these two had specific opinions about it. Like the Guy Turcotte thing, not everybody is in favor of his parole, I feel. In Quebec specifically, I feel like there's a lot of like opinions against it. But Susan Wright was a very contradictive case. Like there was a lot of opinions and a lot of like debates around it. So I felt like, you know what, let's go in those two directions and compare them.
Right.
And subconsciously, people compare them after they watch the movie because I really touch both subjects.
Okay. So it was your way of covering both sides or different sides of one argument.
Actually, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And well, my favorite part of the movie was the students when they were discussing and debating the cases.
Yeah.
I find that my husband, his favorite part was the actual like storyline with with Guy Turcotte and with the other guy chasing
Yeah.
him. So he like more of the action part and actually seeing the story develop, whereas I'm more interested in the debate about the story. So that's what was our different views. And but in terms of the sentencing, I think we kind of agreed on the same aspect. But I think that that's what you like is that people will have big conversations about the movie. Should this person get parole? Should they get arrested? Should they get the death penalty? And so on.
That's actually funny because when I was rehearsing with the actors in New York, we were like, they were saying their lines and had like a table read. And at some point, the actresses, the one who were playing Alexis and Jamie, the ones that had like stronger arguments, they started telling their own arguments in it. I'm like, oh wow, so that's what you really think. And it turned out to be an argument on set, so it was kind of funny to see that people read the script and they're like super like they're emotional about it. They have like opinion about it. So it's impossible to be on in the middle ground when you watch a movie like this.
Right.
I feel like you have to have an opinion. You have to have a
Right.
side.
It evokes emotions.
Yeah,
For sure.
exactly. Yeah.
How did you prepare for the script? How did you develop the characters?
Yeah, the character development is actually my strength when I write a script. I love psychology. I love human behavior and like trying to find out how they would behave in a certain situation. So that's what passions me about like writing. So how I prepared, I actually had to do a lot of research on politics and sides. Like how
Okay.
would a person that is the Democrat think? How would a Republican think about like a death sentence? And then I would have to research because I know nothing about politics, I have to admit. So yeah, I had to do that. And then I was actually putting myself in the skin of a person that would be in that opinion. So that was how I actually, wrote the script. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, interesting. And do you think that being a woman gives you a different angle? Because it is a male-dominated industry.
Oh, yeah. In the movie, yes, it kind of gives me an angle. That's probably right. I went for the Susan Wright case, and it was like about feminisms and all. So that's why maybe I I kind of gave her a second chance in the story. But no, in general, it's not easy to be a woman in this industry when you're a producer. A writer, I would say nobody really cares because you're just writing, so
Right.
nobody cares who wrote the script. I just want to know if the story is good. That's
Okay.
it. But when you're a producer, it's like what you look like, what you project as an image, and you shake hands or you look straight in the eye, and you have to kind of like behave like a man. Maybe is that
You
like
think so?
yeah, kind of, because in the end you're like dealing with a lot of men. Like when I went to Cannes, all the buyers, the producers I met, they're all men. So you're
Okay.
sitting there, and then it's kind of intimidating. You're just like on a one-on-one meeting, and they're looking at you in the eye, and they're basically quote unquote asking you, what's in it for me? Like, what are
Right.
you selling me? So you kind of have to sell. And yeah, it's not easy.
It's intimidating.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Well, what would you recommend for women who are looking to go in the field, whether it's screenwriting or being producers? It is a little bit tough because, like we just said, there's a lack of women in the industry.
I would say one of the main thing I would say actually, if you're a screenwriter, if your passion is writing, go for it because it's going to come from the heart, and obviously everything that comes from the heart is you know, it's you, it's passion. People can feel it, and they will love it. And if you're not a people person, if you feel like when you're networking, you can't get people's attention, or you don't know how to start a conversation, do small talks, when you go to those film functions, bring someone else with you that is, you know, the big talker.
Okay.
So at least you know you're both there, and then you know how to sell your movie. He knows how to get attention, and you have a team.
Right.
So that would be my advice for that, because we can't just do everything. We think we can, and as women, sometimes we're like, we see all those.
Superwoman.
Yeah, exactly. Especially moms. Oh my God, like they have the worst job ever, but at the same time, the most rewarding one. So you have to be everything and be everywhere at the same time. But yeah, I feel like if you bring someone that has this other quality with you, making a team is not a bad idea, you know, and you know, you're not the only one doing it.
Right. And that was what you mentioned was hard for you, is doing everything and going to like these huge festival alone and pitching everything. Right?
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. It was it's hard, but at the same time, I guess that I was more focused because I was by myself.
Okay.
That's one thing I found, because being with other people, there was one year, I guess, I went to the Hollywood Film Festival, and that was like one of my movies was selected for the movie trailer category, and we lost against Hugh Jackman's Les Miserables. So you can only imagine the star-studded
Oh
dinner
my
party
goodness.
over there. I was sitting there, and I was across the room from what's his face? Oh my God, the Avengers, Chris Evans.
Okay.
And I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan
I'm a
of
fan
like
too.
Scarlett Johansson as well. So they were all sitting there, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm sitting here. So it was super like intimidating, but at the same time, I was with other people. I brought like
Right.
actresses with me. So it's different because we don't all go for the same reasons. Like I'm
Right.
there to sell. They're there to just like pass around maybe demos and then get deals. And I feel like festivals are not the right place to do that for actors.
Okay.
I don't know why. Maybe actors are there, you know, for the show and everything, and it's a good thing. You need to show your faces in some places,
Right.
you know. But at the same time, they're not going to recruit actors at a festival.
Right.
Festivals are made to to sell your movie.
Right.
So I feel like in this case, it's better if you go by yourself, or if you go with someone who is also selling the movie with you. Otherwise, it creates distractions, and
Okay.
it drags you away from your goal, I
Right.
guess.
And by the way, losing to Wolverine, not a bad deal, okay?
I saw it that way because I'm like, I can't take second place. I'm super bad at this. So I was sitting I'm like, really, dude? You had like 40 million, and I had $4,000. You know, that's like you can't
Not
compare.
fair,
But
right.
then I thought about it when we went back to the hotel. I'm like, hey, it was actually Hugh Jackman.
Come on, it's not so
Yeah.
bad.
Yes.
Next time you'll beat him.
Oh yeah. But it was the movie trailer category, so I guess
Okay.
they had a chance to win.
Right, right. And what will be the next production coming from you? What's the next project?
Actually, I'm continuing the series of Wheel of Fortune. I feel like a lot of people told me that they see that being a series instead of just a one chapter. And there's so many directions that we could go with that movie. And it's like short films about a case that is nationally televised, and also about like a real case. a criminal, like a murder case. So I feel like I'm gonna go. I already started writing other sequels, and we're gonna shoot that in Toronto. And
Okay.
I love Toronto as well, you know, as a city, and Montreal as well. So I'm gonna use the locations that I have already,
Okay.
and shoot chapters and based on, you know, different murder cases.
Murder cases from Montreal, or
Sometimes, yes. I think we have a lot of murder cases in Montreal that would be interesting to tackle or Canada in general.
general,
Like Canada
okay.
has a lot of like murder cases that people disagree with the judge,
Okay.
you know, the judging at the
right?
end.
So it's not that there's so many murders; it's that there's interesting cases.
Yes, yes, it's not, yeah, there's murders all over the world. But yeah, Canada has a lot of like different
Opinionated cases.
exactly, opinionated cases. So I guess, you know, it's a good subject to
Okay.
use for a movie. And also right now, like I said, I'm also signing up with an agency in Toronto to represent me as a screenwriter. So we'll probably be working, on TV series or movies or selling my own movies. So that's something that I don't know yet.
Okay.
And my movie's been selected at Palm Spring Film Festival, but not the actual competition,
Cool.
but the film market. But it's still good because it's an Oscar qualifier. So
Right.
going there means meeting a lot of important people. So.
Oh, amazing. Well, good luck. I'm sure that's going to be an amazing festival and it'll bring you new contacts and new success.
Oh, for sure.
So, if there was one thing that you would change or do over, now that you know everything that you've known in the past 2 years, what would you do differently?
That's a very good question because honestly, every little bump in the road or every mistake that I feel like I've done had taught me something. So I don't really think there's anything I would do differently because I really decided to make my own life happen a year ago. But not just a year ago. Every decision I take, I'm a very like compulsive person. You know, going to Cannes was like when I found out for Cannes the first year in 2013. I found out 18 days before the actual deadline. So I had 18 days to cut back my movie into a 30-minute short film.
Wow.
So, and I was working a 9 to 5. So can you imagine, like, you know, spending nights and weekends on this? And, you know, obviously it's really hard. You have to sleep in the meantime. So, you know, every decision I took was out of impulse and saying, you know what? This is it. I'm doing it, and I'm moving forward. And there's always like a good result that came out of this. So I don't really regret anything. I think I've done everything I had to do, and now I'm just waiting for results.
All right. That's amazing. No regrets.
No, no regrets.
Good. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I watched Wheel of Fortune. I'm going to watch the other ones, the previous one. And I'm looking forward for the rest of the series.
Absolutely. Well, they're actually online if people want to watch it.
The whole series?
Not the whole series. My two last movies, While
Okay.
the Village Sleeps and Wheel of Fortune, are both online. They've been picked up at Cannes by a distributor that has an app on iPad and iPhones.
Okay.
It's called Play Festival. No, Play Film Festival, sorry.
Film
and
Festival.
so people can see it on the links.
Okay, perfect. All right, I'll check it out. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thank you to you all for joining us on another episode of Couch Talk, and see you next time.
Wish to see you, how many are the colors? Wish to see you, wish to